Jack and Jill Radio Show, WNUR 89.3.
Jack and Jill.
You guys were over there for 2 weeks, you said?
2 weeks. Yep.
It felt like 2 months.
Right.
And at the end, you just start breaking down like, I just need to go home. I didn't take fingernail clippers. Always take nail clippers.
Boy, it looked like Wolverine by the time you come back.
Oh my God, like I was cutting through sheets. I'm like, I need nail clippers. The things you don't think of.
Go through the entire checklist, yeah.
I was scared to go to the, manicure place.
Laxatives, all that stuff, boy, everything.
Wow.
You better have it all. Better have it all, depending on what you eat. So you got to get your system adjusted for the food.
So, of course, you guys will go back if you had an opportunity to go back, right?
Absolutely. And we're working on it right now, actually. We've made some good relationships with some people in Senegal, Ghana. We're trying to go to Cameroon, Nigeria. So definitely back to West Africa, but really anywhere. We do the whole grassroots organizing thing.
Right.
And they're everywhere.
Now, I wanted to ask you that since you're from Nigeria and you went to high school there, right? Mm-hmm. So when you had your first experiences with hip-hop, were you in Nigeria or were you here?
Actually, my first experiences would be...
If you tell them the song, you're going to date yourself.
Okay, thank you. You caught me.
Okay, again, we don't talk years on the Jack and Jill show.
Okay, when I was 6 months old,
right.
in 1980.
That's the story, she's sticking to it.
That's it.
And you came to the States and met Chris from the Woods.
There you go. But in like the summer of 80, I think we came to visit, and Curtis Blow's Breaks was out. And that was like my first rap song that I had really heard. And so, we were just here for the summer. I went back to school. And then some years later, like hip hop had become more popular. But it was really depending on who you were. Like if you were, if you had access to music from overseas, then you would know. If you didn't have access, then you didn't know what hip hop was. And I was in a school, in a boarding school in a rural area. So, it was hit or miss. But it turned out we had a breakdance group at my school. And they were dope. And we had 2 turbos in the same group.
2 turbos.
So that was really my first experience, because we would go and we would do these like competitions with other schools. It would be like quiz or debate or something like that. But I don't even know how the breakers got on the team. So it would be like, quiz, debate, and breakdance. And they would battle. And that was like my first, like, okay, I know what this is. But then when I came back in college, a guy came up to me and was like, yeah, you're in my poetry class. I heard your poems are pretty dope. You want to join our rap group? And I'm like, sure. And that was pretty much it. Because I was always a writer and always wrote like poetry and songs. So hip-hop was like a kind of a natural progression from that. Right. So that was kind of my entry into hip-hop.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then I came back in the 80s when I was 6 months old.
Right.
And so, I did my my hip hop thing, and then I did my house thing because, of course, I came back to Chicago.
Right.
And so, it's
the same 4x4 beat.
Yeah. So I had a nice mix of music when I came back.
That's cool. That's really cool.
If you didn't get into hip hop, some weird thing happened and you never made it here, what would you have done? What do you think you'd be doing now in your life?
If I were there?
You could
or just without hip hop?
You could juxtapose that question here.
Have you been listening to my new album that I'm working on?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
Actually, I have a song that talks about like what would I be if there was no hip hop.
What would you have done if
I would probably have been a writer, activist, poet.
Okay, I think I like the combination of those 3 things.
Right,
yeah.
You wouldn't have been far away from hip hop. I think that's what
I could.
Eventually would have sucked you in.
It would have,
Yeah.
Right. And if there was no hip hop, then I'd just be whatever other thing.
Maybe you would have been the person to create it.
Revolution.
Never know.
See, I miss my. I could have invented hip. I'm gonna invent something else.
But see, it's just that you were too young, and someone else had thought of it already.
Right, because you were only 6 months.
I was only 6 months old, right?
Yeah. So,
what about you?
And you hadn't met Chris from the
You know
Wood
what?
yet,
if there without hip hop in existence, it would still be something with music, because my mom would seriously, like when I start crying, she turned on some music and I'd shut up as a baby, or I'd be in the crib just singing or whatever. So it would definitely be music. And let my grandfather tell her I would have been a preacher. So probably some sort of a...
You'd have been a Baptist preacher.
I'd have been a Baptist preacher, a singing
Music,
Baptist preacher.
there's
Exactly.
preaching.
See? Yeah, or some sort of a counselor of some sort, because I feel like I'm always giving somebody some advice, or being Johnny on the spot when it comes to making a decision because of my Libra indecisiveness. So it's either impulsive or I put it on the back burner. So yeah, one of the two. I mean, definitely something with music. I don't think it would have been anything other than that, and probably some counseling or mentoring type of position for myself. Maybe a preacher.
The editor's note here. I absolutely concur with what they're saying, because if you had asked me that question about them, I would have said the same thing, that somehow they would have been involved with music some kind of way, or something involved with the community, just because, again, I've had the blessings to see them, at different events, that involve the community. And I see how it's important to me. I see how it's important to them. That means something to me. Me myself, I only take 10 seconds to say about myself. I come from a family, from an environment that gave back. We used to own a group home working with at-risk teens.
Nice.
I was a counselor at Downers North High School. So I worked with Youth MBA. So I always love to see people give back, give a little something, give a little piece of yourself. And that was one of the beautiful things. And that's when, again, I wanted you guys to expound on the trip to Africa. Because when I saw it, it was giving back. It would take a team of wild horses to keep you guys off the airplane to go.
Oh,
you know
man,
what I mean?
tell me about it. Yes.
There have to be all types of storms and problems.
Yep.
Airplane malfunctions to keep you here. So,
They're like, I can fly this thing.
right.
Probably the toughest thing about the trip was the flight. That was about it, because you're on the plane for like a day.
How long a flight was that?
Oh, it's like a day.
It was literally 24 hours
Yeah.
from when we got to the
Yikes.
airport and got to where we needed to be. Well, I mean, we had like a 6-hour layover. One flight was 9 hours. One flight was 6 hours. And there were like screaming babies and
It was nuts. It was.
no coffee sometimes.
It
And,
seriously was.
Although-
and then every time you look out the window, you're like, "Are we almost there?" You look like you
You're
see
like,
nothing. It's just,
No,
you
we're
don't
not
even
even
see clouds. You're just there.
Right.
You're like,
Yeah.
"Oh no!"
but
I would do it all again. I would tell them to knock me out for half the trip and then wake me up.
oh, and speaking of, can I talk a little bit about Chicago Hip Hop
Oh,
Heritage Month?
please. All right.
Yeah, so
Let's hear
like
it.
this was kind of like our
Stage is yours.
entry into really doing some organizing. But Chris and I had been like doing monthly networking socials for a while in like the late 90s, early 2000s.
saying too
And I'm saying too much. Okay. When we were 9.
Right.
And so in 2003, Chris, I, and some other people were chatting, and we were talking about really how Chicago should have its own hip-hop recognition something. And so we were like, we should have a Chicago Hip Hop Day. And then we were like, maybe we could make it like a week. And then we were like, maybe we should have a month. And so we drafted this resolution to recognize, and we weren't going for any of that 28-day crap. We wanted like
The whole 30
we
days.
wanted a whole 31.
31.
We picked July.
Wow.
Because July in Chicago is just fabulous. And we drafted this resolution to mark July as Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Month and presented it to the Chicago City Council through the 27th Ward Alderman Walter Burnett. He presented on our behalf. And it passed. The resolution passed. And so since 2003, we've been marking the entire month as Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Month. And so the Chicago Hip Hop Initiative kind of takes the lead on organizing events, like official events around it. So we do, I mean, it's really, we still keep it really grassroots, but we have, we have events and showcases and forums and workshops. And really the goal of it is kind of as an educational piece, because a lot of young artists, especially, who, haven't been performing since they were 2 months old, don't know a lot about Chicago hip hop history. We know about Biggie when he was little, and we know about this person and that person.
Right.
But we don't know, who G2 the Juggernaut is, or we might not know who an Ange 13 is, or whomever. And so we decided to create this month, one, as an educational piece, but as an opportunity to really honor and celebrate our own Chicago hip-hop pioneers and people who are constantly working to keep the culture alive. So that's what Chicago Hip Hop Heritage Month is all about. And this year, we celebrated the 10th one. So it's just been really exciting, and it's been a great way to promote. And that was another thing that we kind of promoted in Ivory Coast, that, you know, we were able to get this passed through our city. And yeah, everyone can't do it. Every mayor isn't going to approve it. But actually, when we were in Ivory Coast, at almost every place that we performed, the mayor came to our shows. Really? So we had the mayor at the show.
Governors, everything. Yeah.
And that just goes to show them that, yeah, these people might not have come out for anything else that you guys have done, but depending on what you do, you know, you're going to attract attention. And so, yeah.
Tell them about the workshop at the radio, with the radio announcers and how they were talking, like the local artists.
With the workshop when they were talking about not getting played on the radio?
Yeah.
Which part specifically?
Just pretty much how these were like their national radio hosts, and you know, they play all the commercial stuff.
Right.
And they were basically, the local artists had more access to them, and so they started probing them, like, well, how come y'all ain't playing our records?
I didn't even think about that aspect of it. Yeah, we had a workshop, and we're all sitting around the table, and we were talking about radio play. And the funny thing, though, is a lot of artists were complaining about the same issues that we complain about as artists. Like, the radio stations won't play us, and, you know, the venues won't let us play there. And we're like, guess what? The radio stations don't play us either. Exactly. The commercial stations don't. Right. So you have to find these alternative sources, like...
And you are?
That's right.
Jack and Jill Radio.
Jack and Jill shows.
Because, you know, I mean, I don't even know that I care that commercial radio doesn't play me.
I certainly don't. I haven't listened to commercial radio in over 12 years.
Me neither. And so people are like, have you heard that song? I'm like, no, I'm sorry, I haven't heard it.
No, I haven't.
And so we let them know that you're not alone. A lot of artists face that. But like Chris said, that this one town that we went to, their major radio, like the guys who have the biggest radio show in town, were there at the workshop. And so it went from it went from radio stations won't play us to, hey, you won't play us. And the stations were like, well, you know, we have program directors, and, you know, we don't make all the decisions, and, you know, there's a way. But then came in the aspect of, yeah, you can do hip hop, but if you want to play in the corporate arena, then you have to know, like, if you want radio play, then you have to have a product, and you have to know how to approach radio, and you have to be an artist, and that kind of thing. So, you know, just because you're on the block on the road doesn't necessarily
on the road
mean that they're, you know, gonna play you. And so if you want to be a commercial artist, then you have to play the commercial artist game, and that's a whole nother aspect of it. We didn't take them that aspect. We figured they can.
Yeah, I was
we'll
going
get
to
to
ask
that
you
later.
about that too.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of artists feel that you know, well, we want to try to make the big bucks, so, you know, let's, you know, we'll make some trap music or this or that, and you know, speaking for yourselves, has that ever been something that you thought about? Like, let's just make a commercial record, so we hear our voices on, you know, whatever station or whatever.
Not in the slightest, not at all.
And all I can say is good.
Yeah,
I don't think we would know how.
Yeah, and you know what? And also, I think also what kind of refines it for me is, like, I kind of had like a bad taste in my mouth with some projects and stuff that I was doing in Chicago based around hip hop and just, you know, how people deal with stuff and do things. But then when I went to Africa and I saw what hip hop meant to these people, when it renewed my faith. So when I got back here, you know, I get kids be like, hey, man, you ain't on the radio. I ain't seen your video. You ain't on TV. You know, but I went to Africa. You know what I mean? So, and then also, I think what also helps me
doing hip hop,
and also what helps me stay in my lane is, you know, like I'll look back at videos from Noble or the Côte d'Ivoire Hip Hop Initiative doing shows. They're out in Africa, they're performing, they're doing my songs, and I'm sitting in my crib, you know, watching it on YouTube. So I'm like, you know what? I really care if they play me on WGC, whoever. You know, it doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't matter if I'm on BET. It doesn't really, because that's not where my value is. And musically, I might work with artists. I might have a track or something that sounds, maybe commercial or whatever. But me personally, you'll never see me rapping or trying to conform to that mold just to kind of fit in a particular lane. I feel like I've created my own lane, and
You ain't gonna be wearing no Lil Wayne tight pants.
No, you won't see me in skinny
sunglasses
jeans,
and all that.
Skinny jeans, no
Your
nothing
skinny jeans.
ever. No,
But what if commercial music made a place for artists like you? Would you be open to that potentially?
Well, now you're talking about.
Right,
Well, you know
right.
what, and it all depends on what type of input is put into that, because anything can be made commercial
And how much you
or
have to
marketable.
compromise.
Exactly. So it's like
If you have to compromise.
do we have to get Old English 800 as a sponsor?
Right.
You know what I mean? In order for them to actually play our music, or do we? You know what I mean? So
And
it all
that's kind
really
of that
depends.
that slippery slope too, because playing devil's advocate, there's that flip side. Like for those artists, even in Ivory Coast, like it was just like it is here. There were some artists who feel like this is going to be my meal ticket out of the hood. And there were some artists who I just love to write. I like to create. And those are two different kinds of artists. And some are willing to be commercial. It doesn't even matter. They're just trying to get out of
trying
their
to get to the
situation.
next level.
They're
Right,
just
yeah.
trying
Right.
to, they're like, this is an opportunity. I'm going to come up. I got these songs. I met this producer. We're getting ready to blow up. And then some are just like, I don't care about that producer. I just really want to make songs that express my message. And we dealt with a lot of that. So it's kind of just like it is here. Some kids do it because they feel like this might be an opportunity, and some do it because they feel like
That's
they have
it's
to
a
express.
it's a good point. And I want to ask you, what do you think about? Do you see some of that coming to Chicago hip hop? In other words, do you see, where you're at? Where your mind state is at. Do you see that here in Chicago? Do you see a lot, enough of it, some of it, not enough? Where
I see a lot of it, actually.
Yeah.
I see a lot, and then every day I'm meeting someone else, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel the same exact way. Or I meet people who are doing the same work that I'm doing, whether it's youth work in hip hop or people who are traveling. I mean, we're fortunate. I don't know a lot of people locally who were able to say they went to the African continent, but people are traveling more now than we did at one time. Chicago artists are really positioning themselves in places to do great things. And so I feel like I'm just one of the people that are doing this, this great work. So I feel very fortunate and humbled and honored to be able to do the things that we're doing. But there are really so many people doing, what we're doing and other things that I think it's all just good for the city.
Yeah,
end.
and I think you see a lot more unity. I mean, there's with technology, I think it's making it more accessible for any average kid, that didn't come from a silver spoon family, to be able to put himself on the market and promote himself as anybody else. I mean, as far as label and corporate stuff go now, the labels want you to have those God knows how many fans and God knows how many YouTube hits and and be able to produce your own album in your own living room or in your own bedroom. So with that being said, there's, of course, it makes it where we used to have that quote unquote hater mentality, they would say, where one artist wouldn't work with another artist. Now you have artists collaborating across the board. You got just tons of people. I mean, like if I could, Chance the Rapper, I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but I mean, I had an opportunity I met him on several occasions, but we met him a couple weeks ago. Just brilliant talent and just such a humble young man. So there's different examples of artists who are coming up in the industry in Chicago. I mean, kids these days, it's just a lot of different kids who and artists who are doing so many different things. So I see a unified thing starting to happen with Chicago artists, where it's not, I need to be the next Common Sense or I need to be the next Kanye West. There's room for anybody. As long as you have a talent and you have drive and you want to get your voice out so people can hear it, sky's the limit for you. So,
and I like to see, like, when hip hop starts to grow up and we start seeing hip hop heads running for office.
Yes.
And leading,
Yes.
so we had Rhyme Fest run for office.
Exactly.
We got G2 who's doing his thing over with the teachers union. Every time there's like some teacher stuff, I'm like, okay, turn on the TV because G2 is going to be right on the TV talking about it.
Exactly.
You got Cap D who's an attorney and off doing who's he
For
with?
Sacramento Kings, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
doing
wow.
his legal thing. So from the mic to the
Yeah.
to the legal arena. So as we grow up, it's nice to see what the older people are doing with it. I do
Absolutely.
right now. I'm doing a hip hop and social change class at Sullivan High School. And so for me, that's just one way for me to kind of take my art and my voice and try to offer these young people an opportunity to do something else with it. But you got Hip Hop Detox, you got Kumba Links, you got Connect Force, you got all these other Southwest Youth Collaborative and organizations. You got
Chirac.
Chirac, who are out there just really doing like the day to day. So imagine if we looked at all of this stuff together and just took a step back, we'd go, wow, our city is dope.
Yeah,
Right.
and it would be great if those corporations could see what these grassroots organizers are doing, and where you want to fund into the corporate malarkey, put some money behind these things and let some grassroots things resonate to a commercial level, but still keep its truthfulness of what the culture is about, giving back and not getting caught up in all the stereotypes of the bang bangs and everything else that goes on.
That magic balance.
I was going to
say
I was going to ask you guys too. Speaking of the corporate thing, how can you incorporate? How can you bring in the corporate aspect of it? What do you need from them? What are you looking from them to help you with?
Resources and
Obviously,
money to
money,
supplement
sure.
all the money that's been cut from everything. From education, even on a very basic level, like nutrition, like more money to fund better school lunches or more money to offer kids alternatives, even to teach them that, okay, those hot chips may look like carrots, but they're not carrots.
Exactly.
Right.
And what the difference between eating a carrot and eating a hot chip will do. And just, educating the kids and educating the parents. Although, I don't know if corporations are really interested in helping us build our communities.
They might
But
potentially
if
be
we
for a
could,
price.
yeah.
Walgreens just recently was willing to donate lots and lots of money to the Chicago Public Schools in the way of $25 gift cards to encourage parents to come and pick up their kids' report cards from school.
No,
Really?
Yeah, so it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So maybe they might be willing to give some of that money to some things like, what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wonder if it's opened up. Has some of those opportunities opened up for you guys? Seeing as you guys have represented our country and had dealt with the establishment, so to speak. Has anything opened up? Has anything opened up for you in particular? Have any corporations or anything showed any interest in what you guys are doing and sort of backing you guys? Has it been easier? I guess that's the thing, or has it opened?
I'm going to be honest. I'm so grassroots and so organic that I'm used to just doing it on a shoestring.
Okay.
And so we just get the work done with or without the funding. It's always good to work with someone who has funding. But, I work with a lot of people who just volunteer their time and effort to make sure, like, we go to schools and we just do workshops. Like, okay, we're going to do a writing workshop with all the, kids from whatever grade to whatever grade. And
Just did a workshop yesterday.
we just did a workshop yesterday.
Do you guys do you guys use hip hop as a vehicle to reach the kids, or do you
Absolutely.
Or do you?
Yeah, well, that's all we got is hip hop.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hip hop
Sure.
and
Sure.
and personal testimony. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think when you can tell a child or a teen some stuff that kind of really hits home, because as generations go, what kids have to deal with now, honestly, is 20 times worse than some of the stuff we had to deal with. We had more discipline and stuff in the household, and if it wasn't mom and daddy getting you, it was
Yep.
the neighbor on the block. Somebody was going to get at you.
Miss
But-
McDonald.
Yeah, exactly.
Used to get me, boy.
Exactly. But now, you talk to some of these kids, and they, you have conversations with them, and there's so much tragedy and there's so much dysfunction within their life that, it's you can't do anything but talk on the same level and let them know, hey, I understand you. If you don't let them know that you understand, then you've lost them.
Yeah.
So you have to get on that level and say, hey, I know about gang banging. Yeah, I know. When you see these kids doing this stuff, when you see that young man who's got his pants down, you might, man, pull your pants up, man. I don't need to see your drawers. You know what I mean? Just
Especially if they're not clean.
Especially if they're not clean. Really don't want to see them at all, but I know how fashion and trend and all that other stuff go. But just to get an opportunity to be able to tell these kids, hey, I understand. I grew up in Inglewood. I've been in gangs before. I've seen all kind of crazy stuff happen. So I start off by letting them know I was you.
Right.
And look at where I am now.
Right.
And just I let them know that, because I had role models would come to my school and do, we'd have people, Energy Express, and all these people come to the schools and break dance and rap, and I'd be like, man, this cool. These cats are a little bit older than me, and they doing the same thing.
Right.
So, those small things mean so much to a kid who doesn't really have a role model at home. Mama's strung out on crack. The uncle's in the corner smoking squares and drinking. It's a lot of stuff. So these kids are really raising themselves. So they have to look out for positive inspiration within the community, within the schools.
Absolutely.
They don't get that
Absolutely.
same kind of support in the schools with the teachers. These teachers, let me not get on that one. But all that to say, you have to just make sure that you're getting on the same level with these kids. They'll be receptive to the stuff that you bring to the table. And hopefully that one conversation that you might have to 5 kids, 1 kid, or 500 children will probably hit home with some of them and help them in making decisions as they mature.
I would imagine some of the most rewarding experiences that you guys had, and speak on this, is of reaching, like you said, 1 kid. I've had the pleasure to do that once or twice or so in my life too, and so reaching a kid, I would imagine, was probably more than doing a big show and all the diamonds and all that stuff, because if you reach a kid,
Yeah, and I think showing that kid, or somehow letting that kid know that they are special, that they have something to offer, that that you want to hear them, that they are important. When they absorb
yes.
that and believe it, like, you can kind of see the spark when they like, I can do this. Or you're teaching them something and they finally get it. You're like, and I try to tell my kids, I'm giving this for you. You learn it, and then no one can take it away from you once you learn it. Then it's yours, and you can build on it. And that, for me, that's rewarding, to be able to give them something that I can see that they're gonna use. And I think hip hop validates that kind of work, because we could do the same work if we didn't have hip hop. They'd be like, "Oh, here come that corny lady talking about easy glue and recycling,"
Right.
But if we, do a little rap after we tell them to recycle, then somehow we're
Right.
cooler than if we just told them to recycle. So we just incorporate. It's really all about, I think, and in a lot of our songs, it's all about like accountability and ownership and individuality, and how can you change the world.
Right.
So it's,
and words, such music has always been an educational tool.
Yeah.
I remember watching, Morgan Freeman when he did Easy Reader on the Electric Company, and there was always, some sort of music, associated with whatever it was that he was saying, and so that's always been an educational tool. And I certainly think that there's a lot of opportunity for hip hop to be able to offer that same sort of thing as well. So I think it's really, really awesome that you guys are out there and you're doing it, and you're working for the kids, and you're, doing all the wonderful things for the hip hop culture, particularly here in Chicago.
Jack and Jill Radio Show, WNUR 89.3.
Jack and Jill.